First up, demand is spiking for certain watches following the close of Watches and Wonders 2023 in Geneva, with one watch seeing a more than 250% rise in demand. Net's discontinuations always cause a stir in the secondary and gray markets, and we had a few this year. We'll look at the hottest examples on the chopping block, and we'll uncover a discontinued Tudor that no one even knows is gone. Finally, we look at last year's Watches and Wonders releases to see how they're performing 12 months later. This is Time is Money, where the clock is always ticking and money is always moving. I'm Thomas Hendricks with Chrono24 in New York City. Today we're looking at the after effects of Watches and Wonders 2023. Watches and Wonders is the biggest event in the watch world, with the annual extravaganza taking place in Geneva from late March to early April. Dozens of manufacturers unveil their new releases and write a new chapter in their brand legacies. It's a high-risk, high-reward scenario for the brands as everyone lays their cards down at once, eliciting praise, criticism, or confusion from watch media and watch enthusiasts around the globe. The mega fair also has an impact on the secondary and gray markets, and as the world's largest watch marketplace, we at Chrono24 have kept a close eye on the ripple effects coming out of Switzerland. For our first segment of this month's Time is Money episode, we're analyzing which brands and models saw the largest spikes in demand on Chrono24 following the fair. The results for this may surprise you. For a quick point on methodology, we're comparing demand in the 4 weeks leading up to Watches and Wonders with the 4 weeks following Watches and Wonders to capture a before and after effect. Demand here includes purchase requests, price negotiations, and messages to the dealers. We rounded up the top 5 brands that have seen the biggest increases in interest following Watches and Wonders. At number 1 is Chopard, followed by JLC at number 2 and Cartier at number 3. Tag Heuer and Tudor round out the top 5. That's 3 dress watch brands in the top 3. Chopard came through with a super sharp LUC 1860, which got a lot of exposure on Instagram, and JLC had what many considered to be the best watch of the show with the Reverso Tribute Chronograph. Those watches in particular will be quite hard to get, but it shows that individual highlights can lead to broader brand visibility. The numbers get much more dramatic when we look at demand for specific watch models. There's one watch that saw a 264% increase in demand following Watches and Wonders, but we're going to tackle that more in depth in just a minute. In the meantime, let's move on to watch number 2. The centerpiece of IWC's 2023 Novelties is undoubtedly the new Ingenieur. The watch is a revamp of the Gerald Genta designed icon, and it has proven to be a tad bit divisive.
As soon as I picked it up, I felt this is not a 13K watch. I think they need to address the bracelet, they need to address the clasp. In my opinion, I think they should not have done the crown guards.
As a result, the IWC Ingenieur experienced a 97% increase in requests for the old AMG version, that is. Now, we don't have access to IWC's internal boutique sales data, and they're certainly not sharing that. So maybe people are paying 5 figures for the new Ingenieur, but this level of nostalgia for the old reference is not a great sign from our perspective. You shouldn't have added those crown guards. The top 10 models with the biggest spikes are a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest. Some seem connected to what happened in Geneva, and some seem to come out of nowhere. GLC is in the number 3 spot with the Master Ultra Thin Moon, but they haven't touched that model in a while. Oris is in the top 5, but not for a model line that they've released or discontinued. Hublot is in the top 10, which is weird. I didn't know it was Miami Yacht Week. Feel free to cut that joke out, by the way. Okay, we won't tease you any longer about the number 1 slot on that list. The Rolex Milgauss has seen the biggest uptick in requests of any watch on Chrono24 following Watches and Wonders. The model family that encompasses all references of the Milgauss, including the green sapphire and the standard sapphire versions, saw a 264% increase in demand following the fair. That's about 2.5 times more than the watch in second place. This discontinuation has been a long time coming for Rolex, since the Milgauss has always been a bit of a black sheep for the professional series. While others are designed for divers, pilots, mountain climbers, and race car drivers, the Milgauss is designed for scientists and lab coats. Scientists are impressive, essential, but not exactly sexy and even a master marketer like Rolex had kind of given up on hyping up the Milgauss. But the tides have changed in this revenge of the nerd scenario because people always want what they can't have. To quote rapper Mike Jones, back then they didn't want me, now I'm hot, they all on me. The Milgauss wasn't the only Rolex discontinued this year. If you watched the famous episode of Talking Watches with John Mayer, you may remember a pair of precious metal Daytonas gracing the screen. The white, gold, and blue dial, reference 116509, saw a modest increase in listing price for unworn models from about $53,000 in February to about $57,000 in April. But it's the other version, the one nicknamed the quote-unquote John Mayer Daytona, that has seen the real surge. The yellow, gold, and green dial, reference 116508, has soared in listing price on Chrono 24 from approximately $86,000 in February to just south of $120,000 in April. This made sense because discontinuations result in renewed interest for a watch, especially for yellow gold, which is having a moment, and especially for Daytonas, which have long been the most desirable of all Rolex models. We'll end this segment of the report with a watch that was quietly discontinued with so far essentially no media coverage surrounding its departure. The Tudor Heritage Chrono, a stunner of a watch, was in production in 2022, but now is nowhere to be found in Tudor's catalog. Why did the brand discontinue this watch? Was it stagnant sales? Was it time to develop a new replacement chronograph? Or is it something else entirely? We're scratching our heads here at the news, so please drop a comment below if you have any information or theories. Our third and final segment for the day looks at Watches and Wonders releases from 2022 and asks, where are they now? We'll focus on Rolex releases since those capture the most attention in the media and in the markets. The Rolex Destro GMT, now nicknamed the Sprite, was certainly one of the most divisive releases of the previous year. The watch retails for $11,450 in the US, and prices on Chrono 24 currently sit around $25,000. The new Air King is a more modest watch and has seen more modest appreciation in turn. Retail price is $7,450 with current prices on Chrono 24 hovering around $10K. The Rolex Yachtmaster in 42mm yellow gold on the Oyster Flats is performing slightly better, with a $35K price tag on Chrono 24 versus $29.2 at retail. And finally, the Rolex Day-Date in platinum with the fluted bezel is marked as priced on request on the Rolex site. That means you can't afford it. And that's an intimidating sign, perhaps part of the reason why prices on Chrono 24 are up to $96,000 at the time of filming. If I had to predict which would be the crown's biggest star 1 year from now, I'd put my money on the full gold GMT, but I've been wrong before. There you have it, a snapshot of the secondary watch market for April 2023. I'm Thomas Hendricks with Chrono 24. Thanks for watching Time is Money, because time only moves in one direction, but the market does not. We'll see you next time.